leader in the city of Chicago. I have the honor and the privilege of being responsible for the next generation of leaders, and my name is Tara Stamps. So on the backs of those who came before us, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Sister Christine Mayley, former displaced teacher, give it to us.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. It is good to see you all in your CTU red. I want to start off by thanking you for all that you do for the 400,000 public school students in Chicago. Working in CPS is often a thankless job, and you need to hear that you're appreciated. Like many of you, I decided to become a teacher because I wanted to help children reach their full potential, to teach them the skills they needed to become problem solvers and critical thinkers, to become good citizens and kind adults. What I didn't realize on my first day of school as a teacher was what a challenge those tasks would be. I anticipated having to work hard to master classroom management, lesson planning, unit planning, grading, even breaking up the occasional fight. Those things I knew were part of being a teacher. But what I didn't anticipate were the challenges foisted upon all of us by the CPS bureaucracy and others. Others, like the millionaires appointed to our school board by mayors who don't send their children to public schools. We as educators, teachers, paraprofessionals, and clinicians alike know what our schools need to make them work. We need smaller classes so that we can reach each and every child and provide individualized attention that they deserve. We need time to teach, as opposed to administering standardized test after standardized test. We need more fine arts teachers to wake up the creative minds within our students. We need more physical education teachers, health teachers, school nurses, and vision and hearing techs so our students can grow up healthy. We need more social workers and counselors to help our students deal with the immense issues that they are facing today and to help them plan for their futures. We need more teachers' assistants, parent advocates, clerks, and school interpreters to ensure that our schools run smoothly. These are the real reforms that we need to improve our schools. These are the types of proposals that we have submitted in the bargaining table, things that will improve schools for teachers and students alike. We've asked for reductions in the amount of paperwork we must complete so we can spend more time working with and for our students. We've asked for quality professional development and time for preparation. And yes, we have asked to be fairly compensated for the amount of additional responsibilities they want to add to our work days and our calendars. So real quick, what has the Board of Education asked from our members? They want to continue to close down our neighborhood schools and replace them with non-union charters. They want to gut our existing contract and remove the protections that our members have fought for decades to obtain. They want to lengthen the school day and year without providing the resources that we need to actually improve the outcomes. They want to remove language regarding class size caps. They want a management rights clause that enables them to play musical chairs with job positions so that they can create and dissolve departments, transfer our members' jobs to outside contractors, and replace our own educators with consultants. They want to cut professional development days during the school year and make our members come into school on the weekends instead. They want to increase insurance premiums for our members with couples and families coverage. And of course, they do not want to pay us what we are worth. At the same time that they want to increase our workload and responsibilities with the new Common Core curriculum, a brand new evaluation system, and a longer day and year, they have not made us a fair wage proposal. They have offered us a 5-year contract with a mere 2% increase in the first year. They offered no increase in the second year, and they want us to collaborate with them on how to design a merit pay scheme. The board's proposals are not good for our members or our students. They want to do education on the cheap. If they had it their way, they would turn teaching into a low-wage, high-turnover profession. Not because it would be good for our students, but because it would be cheaper. I, for one, will not stand for it. Will you? I'm prepared to do whatever is necessary to ensure that our members get a fair contract. Are you? The strength of our union is the only thing preventing the board and mayor from changing the very essence of public education in Chicago. I'm ready to fight for real reforms, the kinds that help our students. Are you? Excellent.
Good afternoon, CTU. In June 2011, I was listening to WBEZ Public Radio. Education reporter Linda Lutton was conducting an interview with billionaire Board of Education member Penny Pritzker about public education in Chicago. Toward the end of that interview, Linda asked Mrs. Pritzker to compare the educational experiences that her children had in grade school and in high school to what she was seeing the average CPS student receive today. And friends, Mrs. Pritzker ran from that question and did not answer it. Instead, here's what she said. She wanted to talk about what CPS students were entitled to. She said students were, quote, entitled to get the skills in math, in reading, and in science so that they can be productive members of today's workforce, end quote. Now, that answer did not sit well with me at a couple of different levels. First, as a CPS parent and an LSC member, I believe all our children are entitled, yes, entitled to much, much more. Mrs. Pritzker never talked about fine arts, never talked about music, never talked about physical education, never talked about the need to teach our kids to think critically, to think creatively, never talked about the need of schools to help our children become lifelong learners. But friends, her answer bothered me at another level as well. It bothered me to hear that as a trial lawyer. Because when I hear a public official, which Mrs. Pritzker now is, evade a legitimate question from a reporter, my brain kicks into cross-examination mode. And had I been in that radio studio, I would have said, well, that's great, Mrs. Pritzker, but let's get back to the question I asked you. Your kids attended the University of Chicago laboratory schools, correct? Yes. Same school Mayor Rahm Emanuel has chosen to send his kids to, correct? Yes. And the reason you and your husband chose the University of Chicago laboratory schools for your kids, in part, is because the school offers a rich curriculum. Isn't that true? Yes. From day one, your children had fine arts at the University of Chicago Lab School, correct? Yes. And in June 2006, you told your old college newspaper, the Harvard Crimson, and I quote, I always say fine arts opened my eyes and gave me a new sense, and I carry that passion with me, end quote. And that's why right now the University of Chicago Laboratory School has 7, count them, 7 art teachers on its faculty. Isn't that right, Mrs. Pritzker? Yes. But you're aware, Mrs. Pritzker, that Dyett High School, a school you just voted to close a few months ago, had 0 art teachers on its faculty in 2011. Isn't that right? Yes. Your students also receive music education from day one at the lab school. Isn't that true? Yes. Your students had physical education classes every day at the lab school. Isn't that right? Yes. Your students had libraries, beautiful libraries in which to study, research, and write. Isn't that true? Yes. You're aware, ma'am, that as we sit here today, 160 CPS schools do not have libraries. Isn't that right? But again, as we sit here today, Mrs. Pritzker, you're aware that you are spearheading a campaign right now to build newer, better, and bigger libraries at the University of Chicago Lab School. Isn't that true? Now, friends, we could go on with this exercise, but we're running out of time. If Mrs. Pritzker and Mr. Emanuel want to know the harm that their policies are causing all of our students, they don't need to ask Karen Lewis. They don't need to ask Randy Weingarten. All they need to do is go to the website of the University of Chicago Lab School and read what the school's director, Dr. David McGill, writes. He's been running that place for the last 10 years. Do you want to know what Dr. McGill at the lab school says about standardized testing? The same testing that fills our calendar for weeks? Measuring outcomes through standardized testing and referring to those results as the evidence of learning, and the bottom line is, in my opinion, misguided and unfortunately continues to be advocated under a new name and supported by the current administration. That's the lab school, folks. Do you want to know what Dr. McGill from the lab school has to say about art, music, physical education, and libraries? He says, quote, "Physical education, world languages, libraries, and the arts are not frills. They are an essential piece of a well-rounded education." And finally, do you want to know what the director of the lab school, yes, the person who runs Rom and Penny Pritzker's kids' school, what he has to say about teachers' unions? And it's on the website, folks. Quote, "I shudder to think of who would be attracted to teach in our public schools without unions." And my friends, I too shudder at that thought. That's why I'm here today. We stand with you.
We are all here with a message for CME. We are not only here to tell them what to do with our investment, we are here to tell them to pay their fair share.
Okay, well, today is our big day of action against the CME that owns the Board of Trade here. You know, today is all about corporate welfare and the impact it has on all of us. CME Group, they're the most profitable company in the city, easily. They made $2 billion in profit last year alone. Back in November, they went to the state and said, we need a tax break, and they received it. And now, just a couple months later, the state of Illinois is telling child care providers we don't have enough money to pay you. They're telling home care workers you're going to face cuts. They're saying the child care programs are being slashed. You know, all these programs that working families depend upon are being cut. So we're here making the connection. We're saying, look, we pay our taxes, we pay our fair share, you should too, and that's the message we deliver to the CME Group today.
They say we can't pay the teachers. Well, where did the money go? We spent $3 trillion in Iraq on the wrong target. Where did the money go? We're spending $2 billion a week in Afghanistan. Where did the money go? We bail out the banks. Where did the money go?
It is pretty interesting how the rich are getting richer, how everybody can be bailed out, except those who work hard every single day to help the kids. If the 1% can get the help, if all those with silver spoons in their mouths can get the help, what about the children of this city and the people who educate them?
CTU, this is your finest hour. We are gathered here to show the world that this is what unity looks like. But this is a national fight. All across this country, Teachers, clinicians, and paraprofessionals are fighting failed status quo reforms. School districts have become emboldened. And what have they done? They've been emboldened because rich people are now writing the laws. Rich people who never send their children to public schools are making the policy. And nationwide, everyone is facing the loss of their collective bargaining rights. Look at Wisconsin. Look at Indiana. We are surrounded by madness, brothers and sisters. We had a candidate for mayor signal what he had in plan for us before he was ever elected, because who was his educational advisor? A charter school leader. Before he ever got elected, he signaled what he was going to do. He got elected, he got installed in May, and what did he do in June? He stole a 4% raise that had been budgeted for and stole it. So what did he say he was going to do? He said he was going to have a longer school day. A political gimmick, not an education plan. But when I said to him, we want a better school day, you can have your longer school day. That's what you're going to do. You're going to do it. That's what you're going to do. We want a better school day. We want art, music, PE, world languages. The mayor's hand-picked officers said, we will not put resources into your failed schools because it's your fault. That's what they keep saying. It's your fault. Don't think this is impersonal. But what did he say today when he heard about all of this? Oh, teachers deserve their raises. Yeah, but he forgot about the paraprofessionals and the clinicians because he doesn't know anything about what we do. This is a tale of two systems, brothers and sisters. One that emboldens the rich and powerful as they seek to crush the dreams and desires of everyday people. You've heard it here. The general public, parents, the taxpayers. And I love how they forget that we live here and we pay taxes here. They are on our side. The Tribune had to tell the poll results. 80% of our community loves us. They love what you do every day. They're not buying this. They said if you're going to lengthen the school day, then you need to fairly compensate the people who are going to be working longer. Brothers and sisters, Rahm Emanuel has known this for over a year. And to those of you who are joining us today, there are 1,500 more people in the street.
I want you to know that this space that we're in right now is an historic space. This is where, in 1968, the Demonstrators for Democracy stood and gave their speeches. This is where this fall, the Occupy movement stood and spoke up for the 99%. And it is time that teachers in this city, the PSRPs, the clinicians, began to understand that our power comes from our ability to act as a movement. This isn't about an attack that wants to import the values of the marketplace into our classrooms. This is about an attack which says that schools should be privatized, that we measure the value of teachers by the standardized test scores that you produce, not the humanity which you bring. And I know you know what I mean, because the CEO of Chicago Public Schools, Jean-Claude Brizard, calls my school and your school and all of our schools, he calls them failures every day. Doesn't he? What miserable and sorry admission of failure. when the head of the Chicago Public Schools says that we need 60 new charter schools to be privately managed to save our education system. We have, sisters and brothers, we have 98 elementary schools in this city without playgrounds. We have 160 schools without libraries. We have 200 schools that meet in the summer with no adequate air conditioning. And they just slashed the capital budget from $660 million a year to $110 million. But they do have enough money to build 60 new charter schools. They do have enough money to give the Chicago Mercantile Exchange a $110 million a year tax break. And so, sisters and brothers, when we're under attack, we have to remember that we act like a union. We have to remember that if we cannot expect the support of the people at the top of our system, then we must look for the support from everyone else, from our coworkers, from the students who we teach, and from the parents who depend on us every day to come early, stay late, keep their children safe, go above and beyond, and educate the students of this city.
We just heard the cops are trying to shut down our marching ability. Shall we go? Shall we go? Shall we show them? Shall we show them? Shall we show them?
We've got schools all across the city that are underfunded, and meanwhile, again, we've got these giveaways, all this corporate welfare going to companies like the CME Group who simply don't need it. So our fight is their fight. We support each other for sure.
Pay your fair share, CME! Pay your fair share, CME! Pay your fair share, CME! Pay your fair share, CME!
They want us to be one more part of a privatized school system in which teachers come in, work for a few years, and go. In which PSRPs are at-will employees. In which clinicians work for job agencies and come and go as they need. And we're not going to do it.
Do for you guys. We love you, teachers.
We are collateral damage in a political system that's gone awry. But we cannot hope to go to sleep tonight and wake up yesterday. We will not wake up yesterday. We'll wake up tomorrow. And when we wake up, we're going to remember the words of my principal that made me understand what this fight is all about. There was an attack. But if we stick together, all of us in this union will be safe. This union prides itself on being diverse. But we are sticking together. And the people who were our friends yesterday are still our friends today. Together we're going to do what needs to be done. Together we're going to tell the mayor. We're going to show the powerful ministers. We're going to show the Board of Education that you cannot run the schools without us.